So much talk after PPI and CPI, what happens at the next Fed meeting. Kevin Hincks, co-host of Fast Market, is with me live at the CBOE. We've also gotten in retail sales. We've had a lot to digest. Let's start with that, in fact. Kevin, good morning to you.
Good morning, Nicole. There's a lot of news out all over the market affecting stocks, affecting geopolitics. We also have economic data. Retail sales for the month of July up 0.5%. Depending on who you listen to, the expectations were either 0.5 or 0.6, but that was a tenth lower than last month, a very strong number, 0.6. That number was revised, Nicole, to up 0.9. That's the headline retail sales. Vehicles up 0.3. Again, in line with expectations, lower than last month's up 0.5. That was revised to up 0.8%. So June, turning out to be much stronger than expected. Vehicles and gas up 0.2. That's lower than last month, up 0.6, revised to up 0.8. So solid numbers out of retail sales. We also got Empire State Manufacturing. That was a beat, 11.9. That was higher than 5.5 from a month ago. That's a good solid number. Import-export prices up slightly more than expected, up 0.4 on import prices, up 0.1 in export prices. So we have that. Now, the retail sales number is one of our top 6 data points of the month. With that, we have news on geopolitics and discussions about to go on in Alaska. We also have the United Healthcare. That's driving up the Dow futures this morning. But NASDAQ futures are actually slightly lower to start the day. So we're digesting a lot of news. You got to watch the headlines. Zelensky just came out and said it's time to end the war. So he's making statements already this morning, even though he's not at the summit in Alaska. But Trump says there may be a second meeting if that happens. There's just a lot going on this morning, Nicole. It's stocks, it's economic data, it's geopolitical news. We got something for everyone today, Nicole.
Yeah, and within the retail sales, I think it's really interesting how we still see the resiliency of the consumer. You noted June ended up being a little stronger based on those revisions. And, that's good news ultimately, right? It shows that the consumer is showing strength. We have seen that motor vehicle parts sales jumped 1.6, home furnishings grew 1.4%. Some miscellaneous dropped. But the big picture is that sales increased over the year over year. And so it shows that resiliency. CPI and PPI, what's the takeaway from the inflation prints and what the Fed may do? What are folks saying now?
Well, I think if you sum up the inflation data, it says this. The CPI headline data, month over month, year over year, was flat to slightly calm, right? The core was a little sticky and a little firm. PPI, historically a very volatile number that the market always underreacts to. So all that inflation data that was not lower, it was firm to slightly higher, didn't change the outlooks for a September rate cut. Still over 90% this morning. I had 92 when I refreshed it right before I came on the air. We'll see how that moves throughout the day. So no real less of a chance for a September rate cut. The inflation data did not change those odds. So now we look to Jerome Powell, speaking on the 23rd in Jackson Hole. That's the next event. Does he guide? Does he change course and start talking about a September rate cut or more coming up in the future? You're getting a slew of Fed speakers. Today, I think there's one more today coming out, but all things considered, this is a day that's going to be a little interesting because you've got the NASDAQ futures lower with the S&P and the Dow futures higher. So let's watch how this day plays out. I still think this is going to be a day, once we get through this data, it's going to be driven by headlines the rest of the day, Nicole.
I think the Putin meeting is, as you said, there may be a second meeting. I know that obviously Putin has gotten a lot of Ukraine. Maybe now they can finally end it. I mean, I don't think they would have a meeting if there was no chance, right? I mean, there's got to be a chance.
Right. Here's what I think. There's two things that President Trump has to negotiate. Number one, an unconditional ceasefire. There's the one side. Then there's the land concession issue that he's got to get Ukraine to deal with. And that is a big issue. Both these leaders need to come away from this meeting with a victory. They can both say positive things, but if President Trump's if he can negotiate a ceasefire here, this is massive for the overall health. Remember, they are right on the brink, right on the borders of so many NATO countries that a de-escalation or a ceasefire here would be enormous for the world in general and peace. So I think this is it's ambitious, but why not?
You know what? I love the New York State Empire manufacturing print. I mean, I don't know if it's because I'm in New York, but I always feel like it's very telling. And when that's down, it doesn't make me feel good. To hear it today and see that post, 11.9, which you mentioned, higher than the 1.8 estimate, and new orders posting strong gains, doesn't that make you feel, pretty good to see that?
Yes, there's also a Chicago number, but I understand your emotional attachment to the Empire State number. That it should be that way, right? These are regional numbers that come out that you get all those regional numbers and they show a trend, whether things are getting better or worse. So I understand that. You live in the New York area. Why wouldn't you cheer for that number to be better? Just like people in the Midwest cheer for the Chicago number to be better. That's that's as normal as you liking the Yankees and me liking the Cubs.
All right, we can leave it there. But really, I mean, it didn't just beat, it killed it, knocked it out of the park, knocked the cover off the ball. That's a home run right there to see the new orders. And that is really showing posting these strong gains. And that's very telling, not only for New York, but also for the United States of America. It's very telling to see this kind of strength. Kevin Hincks, great to see you always. And thanks for the baseball fun.